It's Sunday, May 2nd. How y'all doing? Peace. Today is wisdom. What's up? What's up, y'all? Let's go ahead and get this. What's good? What's good? What's up, Chiefs? What's good? Fly nerd in the building. Coach Chiefs is here. What's up? How's everybody doing? We bright and early. It's a Sunday, so I'm assuming that it's bright and early, considering that most people probably go out on Saturday nights and chill, bro. Just chill. I was chilling. I wouldn't known that. I was It was a nice day yesterday, and I had things to do. I had business to take care of. I have plans to plot and plots to plan. So that's what I was doing. And I had a interesting week in general. There's a lot of transitions going on, a lot of stars lining up, a lot of planets in their proper orbits and places. Um, a couple experiencing earthquakes and a little disruption, but manageable nonetheless. Frank says, "What's up?" He's here, but he's kind of indisposed at the moment. Me and him had a disagreement about Yaska, Yasuke, and we've been talking about it. So we're going to talk about it today too, because I want everybody to get Frank's perspective, and I'm going to give him that platform to do that, and I'm going to give you my perspective because it's my fucking show, despite what Frank think. Whatever. He understands. He gets it. Oh, word. Make your moves, G. Make your moves. We'll touch base afterwards. So, because I got something to run by you. So, I'll hit you up sometime later after I'm done with the broadcast. All right. Yeah. I didn't watch all of Yasuke. I didn't. Part of the reason was because this is where me and Frank had our difference of opinion. Frank says that he thought that Yasuke he didn't like it at all. He thought that Yasuke was too cool for school, but not in a good way, and that it was a bit contrived and just kind of corny. On the other hand, I thought Yasuke. I to be honest with you, I watched the first episode. It was very disjointed and very confusing in the way that they presented things. What's up, Mario? I I made it partially through the second episode, or not even partially through the second episode. I think I didn't make it past the intro because I got hooked on that Fly Low song. But first of all, the soundtrack in Yasuke is the business. So I appreciate the soundtrack greatly in that they captured this nice vibe with the way they were presenting everything in the show. But it's no Afro Samurai. Yasuke is a far cry from Afro Samurai, and honestly, even though Afro Samurai is what people mostly want to compare it to, I'm talking about Yasuke on Netflix, Story of the Black Samurai, Odu Nobu Negro. Um, but yeah, like even though everybody want to compare it to Afro Samurai because obviously it's a black samurai in the lead, it's not even, the storytelling is not even close to Afro Samurai. But I would more compare it to Samurai Champloo in the context that Yasuke is trying to give a revisionist perspective of that time period, and the whole play on the music in intros and adding the hip hop in Samurai Champloo, and this It's interesting. It's interesting. But yeah, Yasuke, it was average for me. It didn't hit me like, damn, like this is shit. Like it don't make me want to talk about it like that. And I don't know if I've been touched by the quality fairy or some shit where I'm really concerned about like quality storytelling. But Yasuke was really missing some important elements in its storytelling from jump that didn't connect in terms of the context. It kind of reminded me of the first of Joss Whedon's Justice League in the way that the story was being presented, in the way they were throwing characters in there without any any setting or any characterization. Oh, most definitely. Yo, Demon Slayer is better. And that's also problematic. There's a couple of things that I'm not sure what they were trying to go for with Yasuke in terms of the flow of the story. But, visually, it's cool. It looks cool. They got, you got a black samurai in feudal Japan, but you also have mechs and machine guns and laser guns and whatever the fuck else was going on in that was just weird. And it's cool. I'm not mad at that at all. If you want to like fantasize or even greatly exaggerate whatever fiction about it you want, that it's just, and that's not even the problem with it, Mike. But Frank Frank thinks that the show was the fact that they decided to do a series about a black samurai, and then they had to add all these other hyper fictions in the midst of this story that is supposed to be historic. He thinks that that was kind of the bad direction to go in, because there's enough in the history of it and the authenticity of the samurai culture that you didn't have to add all those elements to it to make it an interesting visual. But that's what Frank thinks. I'm okay with the all that extra shit that they added, and don't think that it has anything to do with the fact that it was a black historical figure. I don't think that's the vibe, which is where me and Frank disagree, because he totally hated it, and I just thought it was so. I won't say it was bad. I tried to finish it, and I'm going to finish it, but for some reason it didn't catch my interest enough in the first episode. I didn't find any reason to care about any character in it at all, especially Yasuke, and it's his fucking story. So I was like, you got a main character. The show is called Yasuke. It's about Yasuke. But even after that first episode, I knew nothing. I saw no purpose to Yasuke, and I saw no value. Like they gave this whole moment of like when he was talking with his lord, and he was like, the fact that he was talking back to his lord, that shit don't that's not feudal Japan. You don't talk to your master like that, not even a little bit. I don't care what's going on. You don't ever have anything back to say. You don't get loud with your master. So I don't think that they did their homework in that way, and that's fine, because again, it doesn't have to be historically accurate, but it's got to have some respect for the culture and the traditions that it was applying to. Yeah, he black, fair. He is black. But being that he black, would he even have sat there that fucking long anyway? I mean, let's talk about it. Like, that's the part that throws me off. If you're gonna make him black like that, and Frank said he was too cool for school, and I get that, but like he was like it was like there was no substance to anything that he was really on. They demonstrated in that one moment how he was standing on his script. That was not something that you saw often. And then you got these people looking for the daughter, and the big chick, the big Russian that came looking for the vodka. Like that whole scene was corny to me. I was like, what is this? Like, I didn't understand why that was done in that. It was just a lot of presentation is weird, and the scenes are disjointed. I would have liked it to keep it simple. I would have liked them to have just kept it simple and actually told a story about this character, because I think the history of it is more important than the fictionalization of it. And I don't think you needed to go that hard on the fiction. This was reminding me of Batman Ninja. Like as soon as the mech showed up, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he has a bland and distant personality. He was very boring. And it was like, then they got these scenes where it was like, oh, we're gonna wash your, why is this not coming off your skin? And he was like, I was born with this skin. It's not gonna come off. And then I was just like, you were born with black skin? It was like, first of all, the modern connotation, like I don't think they would look that strange a black person back then for a lot of different reasons. I'm not gonna get into the history of it, but they knew about dark skinned fucking people in Japan back then. Fuck what they trying to put, acting like brand new with that shit. Like, oh, I've never seen one of you before. Then all of a sudden another one pops up in a later scene, like, oh, so they've seen one before. There's one running around murking people. But you know, that's just storytelling. Um, I don't know. I definitely thought that I definitely think it needs something, and I'll give it. I'm gonna watch the rest of the show. So this is not a final verdict on Yasuke. This is not my final verdict. This is my first impression after watching one episode. And like I said, I watched the first episode, and then the second episode started, and I got stuck on the Flylo song. The intro song is beast. And then I had to go back and like start listening to trying to find these other songs from the that are playing in the first episode. Like, yo, these are some hot ass songs. So, Fly Low might got him he might be positioned like to be on some Nujabe shit because this soundtrack is dope and them beats is hitting. So I got distracted. So I will give a full honest verdict after I watch all 6 episodes, and I'm gonna watch them unbiased. I'm gonna put Frank away because Frank hates it and he don't even care to watch it again. He was part of the reason we got stuck on the intro music because he just started bopping and he was like, "Yo," and started freestyling, and I started freestyling. And before you know it, we played that bitch over and over and over again and never made it into the second episode. My bad. So yeah, that was that. So, but I'm interested. Like, I want to know. I mean, I've heard that people like it. Some people don't like it for different reasons. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see. We'll see. We'll get back to it. Yeah. So, what else we got? What else did I watch or what else did I get into? So, I got into obviously the finale of Invincible. Um, oh, I shouldn't even do it that way. See, I played myself right there. Hold on. Do I have it? I thought I had it. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do this right because you can't go into an intro like that and not do the intro right. And I guess I don't have it. Well, anyway, I was gonna flash the Invincible comic because in the animation they never say his name. It's kind of cool. Like anytime they mention him, Invincible pops up the actual intro title, and I think that's dope. But yeah, so we got to this moment, and just like we expected, Cosmo said it best. He was like, "Yeah, this dude's gonna come in. He gonna whoop his ass, and then he gonna fly off into the sunset on some why you make me do that on some toxic shit. I was wrong to you because you made me be wrong. Like, get off that bullshit. You whooped his ass because you didn't give a fuck, and you know it is what it is. But yeah, the shit hit the fan to the maximum, and we realized just how little Invincible has to offer his dad. Like Omni Man is on a whole like Omni like they admitted he told him it all. Like, yo, I'm old as fuck. Like the older we get, the slower we age. Like, yo, like you don't want no smoke with me because I've been kicking ass and taking names so long that I consider the lifespan of a human equivalent to a flea, to a fucking single germ. Like you're nothing to me. And you're my son. I love you, but either you with me or you against me. He was Vegeta and tough loving his ass, like straight Vegeta Trunks. Like, oh, you talking to me? And he handled him. And yeah, he got beat to a pulp. Invincible got beat to a different type of pulp, knocked his teeth clean out his mouth. Just was like blink, knocked his teeth out his mouth. And kept giving him a chance. Yeah, he fucked up Chicago too. Omni Man, he needs to get handled for that because it wasn't even necessary, man, like to treat Chicago like that. But nonetheless, the fact that after getting that ass whooping and Omni-Man saying to him like, yo, you willing to, you gonna be there, none of this shit is gonna be here. In 500 years, all this shit is gonna be gone, and then what will you have? I will still have you, Dad. Yo, Invincible took that ass whooping and still was like, Dad, I'm here for you. Broke it down. Omni-Man broke into tears and just freaked out and took off. And yeah, Nolan gone. Like, and when it was cool was as he's flying off into the atmosphere, you saw all the blood that was on him, disintegrate as he traveled out, and all the tears come off and like crystallize and freeze. Like, yo, he's gone. Now, the question is, where did he go? Did he go to Venture? Did he go there and to get his peoples? Or did he just go to try to come and get some control back of himself before coming back to set the record straight because he hasn't got to the space where he needed to tell the world what he thinks. All he did was check his son. Check his son. And in checking his son, they just, because they were monitoring, they happened to hear everything that was going on. But what is he gonna do? Is he gonna come back and shut shit down and just let the world know, all right, now that we got it established that I ain't nothing to fuck with and y'all ain't got nothing for me, and I don't even gotta smoke because y'all can't even handle me holding the cigarette unlit, y'all gonna submit or what? That's all he got to do. There's nothing that Earth can do at this particular moment as far as we know. And the only two people that we thought could maybe possibly handle him, Immortal and Invincible, the eyes have it, but they didn't. They both got their asses handed to him. So I don't think he went back to his world to get support because he don't need support. He probably went back to his world maybe to report, hey, shit's going down, I'll be back. Or maybe he ain't coming back at all. Maybe he just said, fuck this shit. My son's a fucking cuckoo. I'm going to give him some time to figure it out. Maybe I'll come back in 100 years after his mom and everything he loved dead, and then I'll conquer it then. But then the person that they thought was going to be him coming back, Nolan coming back, was actually somebody else. And that was an interesting conversation because we find out that there is a greater revolution taking place in the far reaches of the galaxy against the Venturemites. And now we see that there's a greater battle that has to take place, or that will take place, with people who can possibly, if not come close, maybe even match their power and their strength, and fight back, or maybe double up and triple up and gang up on them. We know that one alien race that kept coming to Earth trying to conquer, because of the dimension that they were in, time moved differently. We know that if they had kept going, they would have eventually developed technology and capabilities, possibly to even match Omni-Man. And so who knows what's out there to handle and fight in defense and protect innocent worlds from them. So we'll see where things are going. But from what it appears at the end of this episode, it seems that Mark has been recruited, or has been sparked into revolution, into a greater cause, a cause greater than himself, a cause greater than the Earth. It's no longer about the Earth. Now it's about, if we're going to stop them, we're going to have to stop them across everywhere. We can't just stop him on Earth. We got to stop all of them out there in the universe from expanding their empire. So the shit really, we thought the shit hit the fan before. Now it's about to open up into a whole sewer right under a bathroom for sumo wrestlers. Yeah, it's about to go down. So yeah, Invincible was great, and that first season hit hard. I can't even think about how well this is done. And again, thinking about animes and animation specifically, Invincible comes in, swings a home run from episode 1, had me open. Yasuke from episode 1 had me looking around, just kind of like, and never made it back. So all good. We'll see. We got some time to waste, and while we got this downtime, because there's no right now there is no Marvel until we get to Loki. There is no new exciting anything right now. There was supposed to be an exciting thing this weekend, but it didn't really pan out that way for me. But yeah, so we've got time to start dabbling and exploring other things that pique my interest and draw me into the things that I enjoy and make me me. So the Amby Warhol show gets to dabble and play a little bit. So one of the things that I wanted to jab about and gibber about and shuck and jive about is this concept of a blerd. What exactly is a blerd or a black nerd? Is it even a thing worth mentioning? Or is it a misunderstanding? Is it a figment of our imagination? Honestly, this is my opinion, like there's no historical book that I'm going to pull out and start saying, see, in 1492, black nerds were already here. No, I ain't gonna do that. But the black nerd concept for me is more about us being, black people being their natural self, being their true self. I don't view nerd in the same context that like um society had viewed nerds, like the exaggerated historical bullshit. Like nerds don't have to be socially awkward. Nerds don't have to be inept. Nerds don't have to be corny. Nerds don't have to be like bad dressers or lame. I ain't talking about that like nerd, like them white boy nerds from them old TV shows, like or like even how nerds were like in like George McFly, like that shit. That guy was weird. He wasn't just a nerd. He was fucking weird, and I'm not even sure he was a nerd. I guess he was a nerd because he was into sci-fi and other shit like that, but he was lame, which is not to me. I don't equate lame with nerd. Just check the fly nerds. Like you show which one of us is lame. You show me which one of us can't dress. You know what I'm saying? You show me which one of us, you know, not only have intellectual abilities in the realms scholastically. We can get into some science shit. We can get into some social shit, but you know, we got some street knowledge too. Black people don't have the privilege or the luxury of compartmentalization. That the only thing that a white nerd may have had to worry about was the jock pulling up his underwear at school or giving him a wedgie or some shit. But black people, we had to come up with the interest that we had in the midst of the gang banging, in the midst of the hustling on the street, in the midst of the fact that black culture did not support for years the concept of a black nerd, which is why if we get into the conversation about the many black nerds that are in pop culture, the way they were presented, they always fought for the girl but didn't get it. The girl didn't want him because he was a nerd. All that corniness, which, I'm here to tell you, like, I've always got the girl. Sorry. And I've always been the way I am. So that narrative is socially awkwardness is socially awkwardness. That doesn't mean you're a nerd. And because you're a nerd doesn't mean you're socially awkward. But think about, like, let's go through them. Let's talk Steve Urkel, right? Did I do that? He pulled his pants all the way up to his waist, above his waist, like up to his titties or his breast or whatever. Like, Steve Urkel was a weirdo. And the nerdiness about him was because he was book smart. He was a kid. So one of the first ways that they identified a person being a nerd in black culture, in the black community, was because you were smart. Which, think about that. If you was dumb in school, you was okay. If you could read, you was a nerd. Or if you like to learn about science or math or something, you was a nerd. Get the fuck out of here. First of all, that right there is a part of the problem. The fact that we are identifying this term, this idea that being smart and black is not cool. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That shit don't work. That's bad. That's bad press. That's bad for business. So Steve Urkel was the smart kid in school. He did homework for everybody, where, we had, he was in love with Laura, who didn't want him because he was a nerd, but her brother was dumb as fuck. He was the dumb jock, you know, and at the end of the day, how did that work out? So the idea of black and intelligence having to be reduced to you're a nerd, that's where the first problem comes in. And other than Steve Urkel pulling his hand way up, like the suspenders, like, he wore the glasses. He wasn't exactly like not fly. He just didn't necessarily have the social etiquette to know how to properly wear his gear. But, what I'm saying? I'll rock some of that shit he wearing in a minute. Like plaid pants, check. What you gonna say to me? Nothing. Ain't shit you can say. I'm fly. It is what it is. But let's get into some other, my favorite fly nerd from back in the day, obviously, was on, well, I can't even say that. I definitely love Dwayne Wayne on A Different World. Dwayne Wayne was a beast, what I'm saying? He was a fly nerd. And, they tried to start it off with him not getting the girl. He was after the, the Huxtable, and, she flaked on him. But he ended up with her adversary, her rival, the Southern Belle, who understood what, what I'm saying, like what he was about. She dissed him at first too, but what I'm saying? She did the knowledge and was like, yo, I like this smart boy. You're looking at one smart black boy. That's a Jay-Z quote. So yeah, I appreciated him in that show because at the time I could relate to him. I could relate to him heavily on a lot of different levels. Like he was intelligent, what I'm saying? He had his own way of doing things. Raj is officially my favorite black nerd, period. Raj is officially my favorite black nerd. Mr. Thomas was no joke, and he wasn't no punk either. So even in the concept of being a black nerd or a blerd, like, dude, you wasn't gonna walk up on Dwayne Wayne, and you wasn't gonna walk up on Roger talking no shit and think he wasn't gonna handle that business. So even though they presented them in the concept of being nerds again because they were smart, because they weren't the traditional black stereotype in terms of like what our culture has deemed okay to be black. These brothers was on point. Also going back to A Different World, Freddie was a nerd. Freddie was a complete nerd. And I remember girls like her who didn't get invited to the parties. They didn't get to kick it with the quote unquote the pretty girls. But Freddie was fine as fuck. And Freddie would have been on my list at the top. Hey Cree, Summer, I got you. But no, like all these people are a totally different level of nerd than what people are dealing with. And what you don't realize is that I remember somebody back in the day was like, yeah, what people thought they wanted when they were younger in the concept of the type of man or woman that they desired to be in a relationship with, as they got older, the nerd wins. The nerd always wins because the nerd is the one that's got his shit together. The nerd is the one that was a thinker. And not just a one-dimensional thinker. The thing about being a nerd is that, like, we can talk that shit. We can talk that other shit. We could pull out the board games. We could pull out the video games. We could pull out the comics. We could pull out the movies. We could pull out whatever entertains you. We do all that shit. Like nerds ain't sitting somewhere in a closet, hiding in the dark like a mushroom growing, just lonely and bored. Like that shit, that's not even real. Let's talk about Carlton Banks. Carlton Banks was a nerd, at least according to the Fresh Prince. Will considered him a nerd, but Will was, I mean, like comparatively, which one of them was on their shit in terms of that show? Which one was struggling and which one had their shit together at every turn? Yeah, Carlton Banks had some misunderstandings, but that's because he was raised outside of the spectrum of certain experiences. And yeah, like that's like Carlton Banks was another cool one. And let's talk about that. To this day, each one of these nerds that I've mentioned thus far have established themselves firmly in pop culture and in our society as a whole. Ain't nobody that don't know, did I do that? Everybody know that. Everybody know about the flip up glasses. Everybody know Cree Summer. And like the cool thing about this is that in many instances, like a Cree Summer playing Freddie, but she was an actual nerd in real life. You know what I'm saying? Alfonso Ribeiro was an actual nerd in real life. You know, Key and Peele are nerds in real life and on TV. Man, let's talk about what else. I don't know if any of you ever saw the IT Crowd, but Maurice Moss, the IT Crowd, he had the big hair, he with the glasses, like he was cool as fuck. Was a nerd though, and you know it is what it is. We can go to How to Get Away with Murder. Wes, he was the nerd. Um, Molly on Insecure, she was a nerd. Um, Historically, the biggest nerd that is most famous, Neil deGrasse Tyson, fucking nerd. Drake, he's a nerd. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. Drake is a nerd. Drake is a big fucking nerd. I don't even know if he denies it or not, but Drake is a big fucking nerd. The whole fucking Wu-Tang clan, they're all fucking nerds. Period. They're all nerds. The whole Wu-Tang clan fighting. We could pick any one of them. They're a nerd in one way or another. Redman is a big fucking nerd. A weed head nerd, but nonetheless, he's a nerd. Earn on Atlanta. Shout out to Donald Glover, who a famous nerd who definitely has made being a nerd fly and cool from a public perspective. He was also Troy on Community, so like you know he lives up to the hype on every level. We got Junior on Blackish, Andre Junior. He's the nerd on that show, and when you really get into it, like I mean, we can go forever. I got to mention this dude because I got two more. Oh yes, I just thought about it. Fucking LeVar Burton. LeVar Burton. Geordie LaForge from Star Trek. He was a nerd on there. He obviously read Rainbow, some big nerd energy right there. Because you know, what I'm saying if you was reading, you know, what I'm saying you know, being black and reading, you a fucking nerd. Whatever. I read a lot, and I'm smart as fuck. So women love my big pulsating brain. Anyway, and Kevin Grievous, the Chicago Zone, Kevin Grievous. You know that's the big black dude with the deep ass blah blah blah. He talk like this, like he got that super dark voice, like deep raspy voice. He was raised on Underworld, like he was that werewolf. He's also the writer. He was one of the co-creators of the Underworld series. So, and he's also Black Beetle on Young Justice and a bunch of other shit that he's done. And you always know him because of that fucking voice. Like his voice is very unique and probably the most unique black voice that you'll ever hear. But yeah, like you know, we here and we been here and we here forever. So if there's one takeaway from the conversation about black and being a nerd or being a blerd or a geek or whatever term you want to use, it ain't about being socially awkward. It's not about being disconnected from the black community. It's not about not having your ear to the street. It's just about the things that interest you and the fact that you demonstrate intelligence as a part of your appeal of who you are. Your thought process opens you up to more experiences and opportunities because you refuse to settle into the boxes that other people have established for you. You know, now we can get into some history shit because who established the box that niggas is supposed to be on some just primarily one dimensionally on some street shit? Who established the norm of the way in which we are in our communities? Like we didn't, you know, these aren't the communities we established for ourselves. These were the communities that we were allowed to have and thrive in because we had Black Wall Street. You know, we had all of these various communities that we built, you know, and look what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we didn't destroy those communities. Other people destroyed those communities for us and then left us with the leftovers and said, no, you're allowed to go here. So I understand that people don't get the greater concept of the fact that a blerd is basically a black person who said, fuck, I'm not following your rules. I'm not playing by your games. And it's not a rebellious act. We're just being our true selves. We're appreciating and enjoying what we like unapologetically and without inhibition. You know? Exactly. There you go. There you go. We do the same shit that every other black person does. We just got a greater comprehension of the world and what's around the corner. Nerds typically get off their block and go to other people's block, and we ain't scared because you know. Let's talk about the nerds in like in back in the 80s and 90s, like with hip hop and house music. They was nerds because they weren't into the traditional things. Like I remember being called a nerd um, in fifth grade because we had a party and one of the teachers, well, one of the teachers brought in a tape, and this tape had like some early hip hop that was out at the time. And I remember when the tape was playing, I started popping and breaking, and being called a nerd because I could pop and break, because in Chicago that wasn't a cool thing. That wasn't a big thing. The people that were doing hip hop at that time, we're talking, so it was like 86, whatever. And yeah, man, like people thought that was nerdy. And when I was pulling up with the Pumas and the fat laces, it was like, what you got on? Why you ain't wearing this, or why you ain't doing that? So yeah, man, like the concept of nerd is about, for black people, because I can't speak for what nerd is for white people, but the concept of nerd for black people is very clearly those of us who chose a different path, and that path opened up opportunities for us to discover and get into things that we love, and it's usually something that stimulates our intelligence. It takes us to places that other people didn't even know existed. Like using the D&D realm, for example, Dungeons and Dragons, is like, yo, when you step into a world where your imagination is free to roam and create worlds, and you get to play out these fantasies as opposed to just reading them, this is a whole nother level of creativity and intelligence that a lot of people never get into. So when you don't have that freedom of mind to exercise your intelligence and express your creativity without restrictions, imagine how many, we talk, I'm sure, everybody heard the whole conversation. Imagine if the successful drug dealer was able to channel that energy into another option. We know that in many instances, the only reason why he's drug dealing is because he doesn't know he has other options. The choice has been eliminated from his vocabulary. He doesn't have choices as far as he is concerned. But if he knew of other choices of how he could have used that intelligence, because we talking about a man that's running an empire, you got employees, you got payroll, you got HR issues, you got hostile takeover conversations, you got all the same shit, you got negotiations going on for the price of the brick, you got to deal with the same chemistry going on. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with supply and demand. You got to deal with marketing. Think about that concept, like back in the day when they talk about blue magic. That was marketing. Imagine that dude could have worked for Harry Fox or any of them companies. Could have been on his shit. Could have been a beast, but the options weren't available to him. We don't have to talk about why, because we all know why. But yeah, man, let's love ourselves and be ourselves, and not give a fuck what anybody else says, because we don't even have to embrace the moniker. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a fly nerd for life, and I will always be one. So yeah, man, it's some real. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, be cool. We know what's up. We know what's up. Yo, we do it all, man. And you find us anywhere. In fact, fun fact is that in many instances, a lot of the drug dealers have to seek advice and assistance from the local nerd on the block to figure certain obstacles out. That's all I'll say. It happens. Didn't happen to me. I no, but I'm sure I've heard about it happening to a lot of people. I'm in a lot of different states. So yeah, man. Fly Nerd Group is here forever. The Amby Warhol Show will forever wave that flag, and we gonna shut shit down, and we gonna show the world what we about, and that it don't get no fly us on any level. We're the game changers. We're the trendsetters. We're the avant-garde motherfuckers that you see and hear. Kanye West is a nerd. Yeah. Hell, we can go on and on about that list. And nowadays, everybody. So you know how to work with Trickle Bean, huh? Right. Serious business. Um, so now back to what we own. Back to what we own. Um, because we don't have any major, like Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm sorry, Captain America and the Winter Soldier ended last week. Invincible ended this week. That's gonna open up opportunity for us to dabble and get into a lot of various things, like this conversation we just had today, which was sponsored by me. The Amby Warhol Show sponsored, because that's what was on my mind and that's what I felt. But what I got in store for y'all next week in terms of things that I will be talking about, because we have, even though we got Loki coming up, I'm more honestly as excited as I am about Loki. I'm more excited about Hawkeye. I love Hawkeye as a character. I think he's great. So I decided to go back and reread the Hawkeye series, the Fraction series. I have to. So next week I'm going to be covering um, this volume 1 and volume 2 of the Hawkeye series, and I'll reread it and then we'll talk about it, because whether you realize it or not, I'm pretty sure that the Hawkeye series is going to bleed heavily from the pages of this. This is some of the most incredible, like this is some great writing. Like all I got to say is Tracksuit Mafia. That's Tracksuit Mafia. It's a great series. So I will be reading that over the course of the next week, and next Sunday we will be talking about that series as well as prepping on what's to come, because there's a lot of things that are getting ready to start up, so we got time to play and build on those things. Something else that I may or may not be talking about, Pizza Dog. Yes, um, we will be talking about Hellblazer, and this is volume 2. I'm going to start with volume 1. I just don't have volume 1 handy right now. It's somewhere in my pile of stuff. But and I don't want to talk about Hellblazer. I don't want to just talk about Hellblazer from the comic book perspective. I just want to talk about the world that Hellblazer built and the sandbox that um, Constantine plays in. Constantine is there were all and this is going to sound weird once I say this, but my three favorite characters in all of comic books are John Constantine, Hellboy, and Spawn. I obviously have a thing for demons and devils and magic and the supernatural and in all that capacity, and spiritual mythologies, and especially as it relates to Christian lore, because obviously I was raised in Christianity, and so when I started to dive in trying to understand Christianity and all the inconsistencies in the spectrum of Christianity, you know, it's some fun shit. It's like, and it's a lot of room to play. I'm actually writing a comic as we speak that dabbles in that world, not just Christianity, but just the supernatural, angels, demons, shamans, magic, etc. So keep your ears open for that, and you'll be hearing more news about that. But oh yeah, we could talk Hellblazer. So if you available next week, man, lock that in, and we could do a episode where we just talk Hellblazer and Constantine, because I love that character. Like, again, out of the three, Hellblazer, Hellboy, and Spawn, I think Constantine is my favorite. Sometimes I lean to Hellboy, and other times I lean back to Constantine. But the truth is that Hellboy is just fucking Hellblazer is crazy, but Hellboy, Magnola's writing is just it just draws you fucking in. So from a general writing perspective, Hellboy is it. I mean, okay, McFarlane's, damn, yeah. All these dudes, all of these are their writing is just ridiculous. Like the way they take their characters, the path they go down, the choices they have to make, the development, it's deep. Like, all of these characters go deep, and the whole BPRD universe. I was talking to Coach East about that, because I know he's rereading a lot of that. So I'm going to go back and reread that. But I said, as I went to pick those up, I decided to go ahead and dig into this Constantine, because that's my shit. So, but yeah, like these right here, if you haven't read any of these, I think, yeah, this is one. So that one, Seeds of Destruction. Um, this one, book 2, Strange Places. And then I got this one, The Wild Hunt. Like, these are some thick at, like, Mike writes, like, this monk writes, like, he writes, like, these things are huge. These are some big healthy books. And he doesn't just like write, like, it's amazing how he puts so much into it. It's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy how great these are. So, to be fair, yes. So I'm gonna talk Hawkeye at some point. I will go into the Hellboy series, and I will go into Hellblazer. And Spawn is just so fucking difficult. It's so difficult because Spawn is like vast. I don't think I checked out Proof. D. Put me on. Put me on. I don't think I did. Yeah, put me on to that. What's Proof? But yeah, I'm gonna I may do Spawn, but I can't say for sure that I will. But I do have another series. I guess I'll grab these and I'll put these in play too. I'm committing to all of this. Because I don't know if you know this, but John Carpenter is one of my favorite filmmakers, or was one of my favorite filmmakers. Like John Carpenter was Christopher Nolan to me in terms of, it's hard to explain because his movies didn't get the best special effects. They didn't have the biggest budgets, but I saw the magic and I saw the intent behind the things that he was doing. So Big Trouble in Little China is one of my favorite films. It's just a ridiculously silly satire, as most of his films are. But he did a series. Um, it was a 6 volume series of Big Trouble in Little China that continues literally. I'll show you this because I love this series. It's like great as hell. Where is volume 1? Here we go. It as you can, like, that's the cover. So taken right off, you got Egg Chan, you got Jack Burton, and you got Monster. And if you remember, the last time we saw the Monster, page 1, on the back of his truck, as he was talking to the storm, talking about give me your best shot, I can take it. Then this is where the story picks up exactly where the movie left off. So if you ever were interested in a sequel to Big Trouble in Little China, this is it, and it's damn good. It gives. So yeah, I'll talk through these. I don't want to get too much into these right now because these there's a lot of goodness. Yeah, Prince of Darkness was great. Escape from New York is great. And while we're talking Escape from New York, I guess after I do the Big Trouble in Little China comic book series, which is a direct sequel, I will do the Escape from New York series as well, which was not written by John Carpenter but was licensed from his series. Snake Plissken is also one of my favorite film characters. Like, and for those who don't know, Snake Plissken, this guy, is the inspiration behind Metal Gear. This is the progenitor of Solid Snake. In fact, some people say that Big Boss was actually him, depending upon mythology and lores that you want to dabble in. Yes, and Big Trouble in Little China is where not only the Raiden character, but I don't know if people know this, just to show you how impactful John Carpenter's shit is. Like all of his shit, everything he writes becomes iconic. And even if it doesn't do well in theaters because of low budgets or whatever, they still expand. But Big Trouble in Little China is the inspiration for Mortal Kombat, like holistically. Johnny Cage was a play on Jack Burton. Wang was Liu Kang. Shang-Chi, obviously you know who Shang-Chi was. He was David Lopan. So Raiden was Raiden. All of these, they just took creative liberty with the concept and made a game having them fight in Mortal Kombat, which is what Big Trouble in Little China was about. It was Mortal Kombat. They were battling for this one guy to take over the Earth realm. He was like, hey, what is that? Black blood of the earth. You mean oil? I mean black blood of the earth. I love that movie. Nonstop. All day. But yeah, so Escape from New York influenced the Metal Gear Solid series. And then Big Trouble in Little China influenced the Mortal Kombat series. I mean, we don't even got to talk about Halloween. Like fucking Halloween is historic. It's still here. It proved that it was the better series and that Myers was the better character to Jason, or even, I mean, I love Freddy, but there's more dimension and depth to the story of Michael Myers. So yeah, like we can get into all of these things, not with during the downtime, the meantime, in between time. I still also want to check out. I still want to check out Nobody. So I'm gonna watch that movie, and there's a list of other movies and TV shows that I need to start getting up on and getting into, and we'll be talking about. But I'm definitely gonna expand even outside of the comics that I love and the movies and the animations. Yo, we gonna start doing one kung fu flick a week. So we're gonna get our Samurai Sunday on, and we gonna knock them out every week. So we gonna start having some fun. We're gonna start getting into some deep dives into a lot of different things. What else can I tell you guys about what's coming on the AMBY WARHOL show? Um, yeah, we're gonna be talking about some music. So now that I think about that, let me just I'm not gonna play it because creative licensing and all those things. But I'm going to I want to dedicate today's show to a couple of hip hop nerds that a lot of people probably don't even remember. But if you remember UMCs, and I'm not talking about ultramagnetic MCs, I'm talking about UMCs. They did a song called Blue Cheese. Doom, doom, doom. You remember that? Yeah. When you get done, go look up. If you don't know that song, look it up on YouTube. Check out the video. UMC's was that's today's hip hop song. So yeah, that's some fly nerd shit. They was in the video like they was rocking mad like bright colors. Like one was in like yellow, the other was in red. They was hyper animated. It was goofy. They was fun. Um, that's today's song. That's today's song. And next week we'll talk about another song. Um, yeah, exactly. One to Grow On. That was that album. I think, and I don't remember what happened to them after that. I remember a second album possibly coming out, but I really don't remember much about it. I think one of the things that happened with groups like them and many other groups at that time was that the industry was changing, and these are people who come to industry young as fuck. And then, you have these life experiences that take you that change you between your first album and your second album, and then your second album with the industries with where the industry went with the type of songs that people were expecting to hear or wanting to hear, and these people going through maturity. A lot of people from their first album to their second album sound different. Yeah, yeah. That's what I was talking about. I did talk about that earlier, Maxie. So when I pull you in, we could talk about that some more because I was vibing that soundtrack, which is why I did not finish watching the entire series. But yeah, that's true. That's a fact. He moved into production, just like speaking of rappers that people thought just vanished, but went into production, like Kwame. Kwame went into production, and he's hard on that production tip. That's real. There's also was also another nerd in the sense of how he presented himself. He dressed different. He carried himself different. He spoke about different shit. Um, and he was not afraid to be himself. He dropped that when he dropped that single. Like I liked all his songs, but like on that first album, that video for The Rhythm, when I heard that song, like he was spitting on that, I was like, yo, this dude is dope. I was definitely a fan of Kwame. Another famous nerd, Special Ed, little smart motherfucker that who people talk about how hip hop was different back then. Motherfuckers lie and everybody all they care about is flash. Special Ed was 100% flash. He lied all the time. Special Ed was a dope ass MC, but he lied. He lied so very much. He lied as much as Milk D and all them. When Special Ed was like every other month they get a brand new car. Got every Honda scooter, got every color Honda scooter. I got 74. Bro, he was lying. The nigga, he said he owned an island. Special Ed was lying. But nonetheless, hip hop's always been that. Yeah, redhead kingpin, exactly. Dancing like a mofo. Yeah, like so the nerve's been raining, and hip hop especially had a nice platform that allowed for a lot of blerds to explore and express themselves without without any question. Special ed, the mission, the video was for the world's greatest live competition. Right. No, it was to be so yeah, the mission I take more as for the entertainment value of storytelling, some Slick Rick shit or on some J. Rooter Damager with the Prophet series. I'm okay with that type of fictional storytelling because that's entertaining for what it was. Yeah, so by the time, that's an example of what I say, like when they go into their maturity phase, by the time he came back older and more mature, he no longer exaggerated about finances and about what he had and what he owned and how cool he was and all that stuff. He was out of that bravado and out of that braggadocious phase. And he like that last album he did, or the last two albums he did, that one, I just come back, like all of that stuff, that was it. Yeah, get off my block, boy, or give me $1 for your trouble, or get blown up like a bubble. Yeah, bro was cold on that. All of them, him, Ace, um, yeah, they killed that. They killed that, and that was another soundtrack that was wickedly good. That was it right there. So here we go. Now let's take a second, think back. The year of the 7-0, when Brooklyn was the place to go, flow on a journey down the Crown Heights. Ebbets feel the real on the right. Right to the left. I forgot the rest. But anyway, something about D evil, check my DJ. Hey, play what I want to play in the day, but in the night. I feel the right to the left, Bucktown, Brooklyn, break it down. Head from state to state, travel as we unravel the rate. Howard, Pat, Stop, and Sutter. I remember way back in the days playing Hot Peas and Brother. If you want to learn a lesson, Brooklyn, Sessions, Take It Back, Blacksmith and Wesson. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Trife. Yeah. Yeah, they was cold. Master Ace, my goodness. Like, Master Aces has had many phases to his career. He's always was cold. He was always cold. Their whole crew was cold. But Master Ace is what I call his second phase during that Master Ace Incorporated era. My goodness. Like the beats that they was dropping. Yeah, they was kicking it. Speaking of nerds, and we talking about Master Ace, he said it on his own. Feels so good to be a Crooklyn Dodger. What's happening? 3-1 and Roger. I think I'm seeing him wearing Timberlands and running down the block from Dwayne, and Dwayne had a Glock because he was selling rock for the Partridge Family, and Rubicon K drives a 300E. But plus he be pimping Chrissy from Three's Company. Plus he stuck Mr. T for all his jewelry. Come on, man. Lyrics was cold. Lyrics was cold. Cold. Yeah, them brothers was them. Them doing an album would have been great. I would have paid big money for that album. For them to have an entire album of them just flipping. Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it, Slick. That's it. That's it. So yeah, man. We down to the last minute mark. Um, we got big things in store going forward with the AMBY WARHOL show. I'm in the process of transitioning to a fully produced YouTube series that's going to dig into some more aspects of my life as I live it as a fly nerd in this great city of Chicago. And as the Comic Cons are starting to lift, I got a schedule for the Comic Cons that are open late 2021, going into early 2022 and beyond. So I will be planning on getting into that arena. I'll be doing some traveling. Hopefully, I will have a book or two available by then. I got T-shirts coming. The Fly Nerd Groups got shit coming. There's a new series with Coaches called, and forgive me if I get this wrong, Comics, Coffee, and Cannabis, or the three C's in whatever order that they exist in. So pay attention to that. Yeah, we will be doing a podcast. That's in the works too. There will be a podcast that will be more direct, focused, and yeah. So boom. Thank you guys, and good